A high-protein breakfast is often advertised as an appetite-off switch. The experiments are more interesting than the slogan. In 13 adolescents who usually skipped breakfast, a protein-rich meal reduced appetite and led to roughly 370 calories eaten at lunch, compared with around 500 after skipping or eating a normal protein breakfast. Yet total 24-hour intake did not differ. A second study in 37 young women found greater daily fullness with 35 grams of breakfast protein, but again, no reduction in daily energy. Protein changed the experience of hunger more consistently than the day's calorie total. The first experiment used a randomized crossover design. Each of the 13 participants completed 3 5-hour test days, skip breakfast, eat a normal protein breakfast, or eat a protein-rich breakfast. Because every participant tried every condition, individual differences were partly controlled. Researchers repeatedly measured appetite, fullness, ghrelin, and peptide YY, then served an unrestricted lunch. Participants recorded the rest of the day's intake. The sample was tiny and young, but the design could detect how the same person's short-term appetite changed when breakfast composition changed. The protein-rich breakfast reduced perceived appetite more than both skipping and the normal protein meal. At lunch, participants ate about 370 kilocalories after the protein-rich breakfast versus approximately 500 after the other two conditions. That is a meaningful acute difference. But after researchers added the food records from the rest of the day, total daily intake did not significantly differ. Compensation later may have erased the lunch gap, or food records may have been too imprecise to capture it. The study supports better morning appetite control, not a proven daily calorie deficit. The second study expanded the sample to 37 girls with overweight or obesity. Participants ate two 350 kilocalorie breakfasts, one with 13 grams of protein and one with 35 grams. Some usually skipped breakfast and others usually ate it. Regardless of that habit, the higher protein breakfast produced greater daily fullness. Protein intake rose and carbohydrate intake fell, which is expected because the breakfast composition changed. Daily energy intake, however, did not differ. Once again, the subjective appetite signal was clearer than the full-day calorie outcome. These findings do not prove that everyone should eat breakfast. Both studies focused on adolescents or very young adults, many of whom habitually skipped breakfast. They were acute experiments, not long-term weight loss trials. A high-protein breakfast can also be high in calories, sodium, or saturated fat depending on the foods chosen, and appetite scales are useful but subjective. Someone who is not hungry in the morning may not benefit from forcing a large meal. The evidence answers what happens under specific test conditions, not whether breakfast is morally required. If morning hunger, late snacking, or a weak breakfast is a problem, run a simple comparison. On matched days, try a breakfast with roughly 25 to 35 grams of protein from foods you tolerate. For example, eggs plus yogurt, tofu with beans, or Greek yogurt with oats and nuts. Keep breakfast calories similar to your usual meal. Track hunger at noon, lunch size, and evening intake. The evening measure matters because the first trial's smaller lunch did not become a smaller full day. If you feel no better or eat more overall, the strategy is not helping your goal. The research supports a precise conclusion. Higher protein breakfasts can increase fullness and reduce short-term appetite in young people, and one tiny crossover study found a smaller next meal. Across both studies, daily energy intake did not significantly fall. That means protein at breakfast may be useful for comfort, meal structure, and hitting a protein target even when it does not create automatic weight loss. Choose it because the meal helps your day, not because a headline promises your appetite will disappear until dinner. A better personal test keeps the breakfast calories and routine reasonably similar while changing the protein content. Then appetite, enjoyment, convenience, and total daily intake can be observed separately instead of assuming that fullness automatically means weight loss.